So today we're going to build an outdoor patio table out of cedar and ipe. You ever heard of ipe? It's a Brazilian hardwood. It's one of the most rot resistant woods in the world. It's super heavy, super dense, and it's super beautiful. But if you're anything like me, and I know I am, when I face a big project like this, because it's all going to be timber frame, mortise and tenons and pegs, avoiding metal fasteners, it's a little bit intimidating. So I end up avoiding it while I'm thinking about how to put it together and make it all work and do it right. I don't have a ton of experience with it, but we'll see how it turns out. Come along for the ride. We start out by getting a professional drawing of what we're going to build with all the necessary dimensions so that we can perfectly lay this thing out without having to do any finagling. That's the professional term. I've got 8-foot 4x4 cedar posts here, and I'm going to go through and figure out which piece I'm going to use in each location on this table base. I think it's important to pick out the grain and try to plan it a little bit. I just did a quick rough layout to see what it would kind of look like and get ideas about angles and see if it looks good or not. And if I need to change anything, I can. So that's all I'm doing right now. So now that I've determined what I'm going to do, I'm going to lay it out on my tabletop here, draw the lines on there, and mark everything up, and then I'll be able to get some solid measurements and angles. We'll go from there. Since we've established that 6 degrees is the angle we need, we're going to go with that and start laying out the legs and putting it all together. Made the cuts on the ends there. Now we just got to take out the stuff that isn't part of the tenon. So I got my table set up to cut the tenons out. First thing I'm going to do is make a cut in my push bar so that when I push it through I can have already a clean cut and don't have to think about this one. First I'm going to go trip the breaker back on. And then I lay out my mortise. When I laid out the tenons, I put a number on each tenon and I corresponded it with a mortise. And I laid them out, so this one will go in right here. So once I hog out the hole for the mortise at the angle that I need to, then I'm going to chisel it and finish it up nice and fine so that this doesn't slide in nice and easy. It's got to get kind of pounded in. That's the plan. Take my dang glasses off so I can see something. You quit moving around. Dang it. Mark my depth with a piece of tape. Yeah. That's kind of crappy right there. Oh, dadgum. Dad was right. I should have got a dang Forstner bit, not this stupid spade bit. Oh well. Chisel. I'm gonna chisel it. Add some dang lights in this shop might help. Should have hired a dang professional. It's super sharp now. Learn it on YouTube. That's where everybody learns everything. I'm just transferring the knowledge. I ain't even good at it. But I got a beard and a hammer and a chisel. That ought to work.
Is there a mark on your chisel to let you know when you're in?
No.
Like how deep?
I use this one to check my sides to being square. And I use this one to check my angle on the ends.
What's that called?
A hoonji.
They're gonna have a hard time finding that on Amazon.
Anybody can do it. You just might throw a bunch of expensive wood away in the process if you don't do it right. I'm not going to throw any wood away, but I'm still not going to say I did it right. What's this?
That is scissor.
Good job.
What you're looking for?
Shiny spots, gouges.
Where the wood is hidden?
Yeah, where it's getting tight.
You can see that?
Yeah. There's a gouge there. There's a gouge there. A little bit shinier here than in here than it is here. So, this side.
I'm just hitting the wood right there.
This side's got to get taken a little bit different. Got to be worked a little more. So actually, I'm doing it backwards. You're supposed to do your mortises first and then cut your tenons to fit your mortises. Not mordants. I cut my tenons first because I did. Now I have to make my mortises fit my tenons. So I'm doing it. So each of the legs are mortised into the plate on top, and they're at 6 degrees, tilted out at the bottom. So those are done. Now I got to lay out the rung for that goes between the legs, and that's got to be cut at 6 degrees as well and mortised in. And it's all got to fit so that when it comes together, all the joints fit tight. None of them are open on one side or the other. So I've measured up from the bottom 8 inches, and then I've measured down from the top and set my rung according to the top, so that it sits level with the top. And it's at that point it's straight with the bottom as well. Getting real sharp. And I'll mark, double check my measurements quick. So we're good there. Now I'll be careful to mark straight down from this edge on top and on bottom of both sides. Those lines have to be perfectly in line with this edge or you'll be off. When you're all done, it may not fit correctly. And even if that happens, that's okay, because you can adjust all that later on. If this is too narrow, if you finish this up and it's too narrow, you can take a little bit off the shoulders on the top of there. The legs will shrink. You got to do it on both. And then that'll pull those legs in a little tighter, and There's all kinds of ways to play with it. You just gotta keep moving and take your time. I try to make this a little bit long to start out with. That way, if I am off, I can make that adjustment yet. After I put it together the first time, I can figure out what needs to be adjusted where, and then adjust each piece so that it all fits snug by the time I'm all done. After you got your 2 lines marked on the legs, then you gotta go underneath and mark the line underneath the rung so that you know the width of the rung. Let's get started cutting some. Geometry algebraic. Is that a word? No, it's not. Can you tell I have a cold?
Yes. Yes, we can.
You know what I'd rather be doing?
Sleeping?
Yeah. I took the day off work to get this project done because I'm already late by a long shot. So I gotta get it done. Get the Black Widow? Here, I'll blow it at you.
Punk. Watch me fall up this ladder.
Don't do that. I'm gonna blow it out there. Gone.
Just tell me if any more of those death spiders crawl behind me. Okay, thanks.
There's one on your leg.
Yep, believe you.
Itches. I'm gonna cut it. Oh yeah. She's gorge. You too, sucker. Alright, I'm just gonna slice and dice. Back with the chisel. Sharp.
Make it look easy, but I bet it's not.
No, it's super easy. Anybody could do it.
Well, I'm looking at your fingertips turning white, and I know how strong your hands are.
Dust collector sure would be nice for this, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because your cameraman can barely breathe in here. Can everybody see the dust particles?
I wonder what it would take to get a dust collector. Used my combination square. That's pretty good. I just gotta take a little more off. Better a little more off than a little more on. That one was fast, huh? Just using this to mark out the pinholes.
I gonna fall off.
You better not.
Mommy, Daddy, come in here. What's this, Daddy? What's this?
It's a tabletop.
Oh, tabletop.
Cool.
What's that, Daddy?
This? This?
What's that,
This is earmuffs.
Daddy?
Can you hear me?
Daddy, Daddy, me, Daddy.
Can I hear you?
Working on that, Daddy.
What?
Working on that. Working on that.
Yeah. I gotta mark the tenons for where I gotta drill them. I'm gonna offset these holes just slightly so that when I put the peg in, it pulls that tenon tighter, makes a tighter joint. So if you're gonna offset the hole, you put the hole in the tenon just a little bit closer to the shoulder so that when you drive that peg in, it pushes that shoulder into the adjoining piece. Doesn't have to be much. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to drill the hole off center. It'll still be a good joint. So this line is to where I gotta shave the corner to so that it hides. Otherwise it'll, because there's a radius that butts up against here, and then it'll just leave a flat edge and it'll look silly. So I'm gonna shave this edge back. But these two lines aren't parallel. It's actually the only one on this bent that's that way. And so if I just do a straight 45 across there, the line from here to here won't be parallel as well. But since I'm going to do it with a chisel, I can tilt this edge a little bit lower than 45, and as I go across I can go back to 45, and I can make this line here parallel on the end. So visually you won't be able to tell that this edge is not on the same plane as the leg that it'll butt into. A little trickery. Not trickery, just goodness. It's time to do what's arguably one of the most important parts of this project, and that is sanding. We don't like sanding. Actually, it's not my favorite thing to do. And with cedar, one of the important things is to use a mask, because the cedar dust, if you're allergic to it, you can really get sick from cedar dust. So, here we go. Oh, and one more thing. When you're about to put your mask on, make sure you check inside here, because sometimes spiders live in there. I put a mask on like this one time, and I felt something tickle in my nose. And I took it off, and there was a spider in there. Came crawling out after I took it off. He probably didn't want to bite me because he realized how bad my breath was. And so he was just happy to get out of there, I think. It's time to varnish. I'm going to use Old Masters Spar Marine Varnish. Same stuff I use on my camper, and it works really well outside. Again, I'll be using my chip clipped bag with my handy dandy respirator, and I'll be applying it with a foam brush because that's what I like. I also found out that I have the actual miniature version of this fancy thing. It's kind of like a chip clip version and the real thing that you're not supposed to use like a bag closer, but that's what I got. So, miniature pig. So I forgot to have the camera on while I glued these two up. Bummer. I used a ratchet strap. Actually, it's not a ratchet strap, it's just a pull strap. I don't know what you call it. Heck. And then I glued them together and pulled them down tight. Stuck them on there the way they're supposed to be. Now I'll let them cure. And then I'll come back, take the strap off, put the rest of the bents together, and start assembling the table. It's time. So now we've got them pilot drilled, but they're not all the way through because the drill press doesn't have a long enough reach to do that. So now I'm going to take and mount that bit back in a drill and go through and finish all these holes through to the other side. If you'll notice, I'm not talking a whole lot in the last part of this because my wife is gone visiting her sister. Now, most of the time you think that's a good thing. Get out of here, can't wait to be by myself, but I'll be honest. It's a little more fun doing these projects when she's out here to shoot back and forth with. She'll be home pretty soon, so we'll look forward to that. So one of the things that happens when you drill through wood is often it blows out the back side when the drill bit comes through. So I'll just take a piece of wood and hold it on the back side as I'm drilling, and I got a good enough, thick enough one that I won't run it into my fingers, because that would suck. Here we go. I need 16 dowels at 4 inches long. So I set up a block and I just got to run them through. You got to take each of these and put a little bevel on the end of each one of them. Well, we're at the point where we're ready to glue it together, and this is the time when you get all the things you need together. Put them at the end of your bench, except like 1 or 2 of those things you really need, because you want to run and find those in the middle of your glue setting up and you're not ready. So pretty sure I left out 1 or 2 things. We'll see as we go. This ought to be fun. I've been procrastinating on this because this part makes me nervous. Because once this is done, if I screw it up, I got to start over. Ish. All right. I could wait a little longer, but I probably shouldn't. So here we go. Almost glued that up the wrong way. That would have sucked. I've been starting all over. All right. All the joints look fantastic. We like it. That's how it should go. But before I celebrate, I got some eggs to pound in. And I hope that goes well, because I have no idea if it's gonna. Well, that one went in good. We like that. You need a rag. Of course, I didn't tear one of these off because I should have, because I needed it, right? But I didn't have it in the pile. Next. Beautiful. One left. And then we get to go take a break for a little while. Pegs are in. Joints are swooper tight. She looks good. All right, now we gotta let it sit for a while. We're varnishing with Old Masters Spar varnish, Spar and Marine varnish. It's a pretty good product, I like it. We're using that on the cedar. That's what we're doing. Put the clamps on the end to hold the boards from tipping over when I'm going to route the edges. And you always route the short edge first, or the side edge, because then when you route the top edge, the radius carries around the corner and it doesn't have a point. It has a nice rounded ball-shaped corner.
I wish I could describe to people how this feels.
Smooth.
It's so, I don't even know.
Silky.
Yeah, it's silky. That's a good description of it.
Last thing to do, put the boards on top. Then we're done.
You're so excited.
Yeah, I'm ready to be done. Yeah, I'll be glad when this project's over because then it'll be behind me. That's good. Can't get that middle one. That sucks, canal water. Oh, silly me. Silly me. Except dire. Last time I used these on that bench, stuck my hand in there and pulled out a couple screws. Black Widow runs up my arm.
Like a black widow?
One of the northern black widows that your brother-in-law was telling me about.
Gross.
Gross.
Did you kill it?
Huh?
Did you kill it?
Oh, I licked it.
Well, that's weird.
Better than a dead spider.
Time to burn the shop down.
Don't do it. Don't. Wouldn't be prudent. I understand. I understand, honey. I'm sorry. What do you want with me, woman?
You're awfully sassy.
Keeping the water out of the troughs so it can't get in there and rot. And it will glue that board on nicely. And it will lubricate the screws as they go into the ipe. which will help them go in without twisting the heads off. That's it, folks. Here's the table. She's a beaut. I feel like I walked through a desert. It's hot in here.
You do look sweaty.
And I'm a little bit parched. Might need some water. Feels good to have it done though. I think it looks good.
Yeah. It's like the end of a race. You're like, wow, that was hard. I'm sweaty.
Do I look like a runner to you? Ain't no racing here.
No, you're like the tortoise, actually.
Yes, very much.
Hence why I went to my sister's and came back. And you're still building the table. But it's a beautiful one.
Who won the race?
The table did.
Mike's gonna like it.
You better.
You better take him like it.
Well, you could take it back. Your wife likes it. He can have my picnic table if he doesn't like it.
I'll pay him half price for the lumber. I mean, it's already used.
It's got holes all in it.
Right.
Oh, you're like recording stuff.